welcome to the channel. Today, I think I have unlocked what's going to happen over the next coming weeks with Football Manager 26. Stick with me here. We're going to cover Miles, we're going to cover Sports Interactive, we're going to cover Sega, we're going to cover a little bit about the Sega Football Club Champions, because there's been some news about that, and we're going to cover what is coming up in the coming week with Sega shareholders. If you like this, why not like and subscribe? Comment down below whatever you want to discuss, and let's have a conversation. Here we go. Everything we know about FM26 Part 2 news. First protocol, Miles. Miles Jacobson's obviously the executive director in Sports Interactive. He is the man in charge. The amount of abuse the man got for FM25 being cancelled was on a scale of nonsense. Yes, he is a figurehead, and yes, he was always tweeting good things, bad things, whenever he was, with the dev updates and everything like that. I can confirm, much to the dismay of some, Miles is still in his post. Nobody in the senior management position has actually lost their job over FM25. There have been new recruits, they've been advertising for a lot, but actually, yep, Miles is still in post, and I think for FM26, having an experienced person that knows how to launch a game, 30 years, don't forget, that can only be a benefit. I know already, just that comment, people are going to disagree, and if you disagree, that's fine. You can put that in the comments, and let's have a conversation about it. Sports Interactive. Are they still part of Sega? Yes. In fact, they've been more embedded into Sega with the fact they're looking to launch the new Sega Football Club Champions. That is powering them. That's not actually through Sega Europe. That is through Sega Corporation, which is a Japanese branch of Sega. And that is actually providing the database for up to 10,000 players with the FIFA Pro information for likenesses, player names, etc. But they're going to provide the data that actually sits there underneath the game in Sega Football Club. One quick thing to point out since I recorded the video, which is why I'm in different clothes, is Sega Football Club Champions has actually delayed. This came out on the Friday the 13th, so the beta was due to close, and Sega actually announced we're going to have to delay it. The beta has run into technical difficulties, and they're going to have to work on things. Very similar wording to what happened in Football Manager 25. But they haven't yet come back with a confirmed beta. They've just extended the application process for it. So we also know, I've already done a video on this, so I'm not going to cover it in too much detail, but the Football Manager database, FMDB, is being relaunched. We've had confirmation that that's actually coming into place from about 2 weeks back. We know that is being advertised with a data-driven approach. It looks like it's only going to be the English tiers at the moment in time, from what further research has shown me. But that is starting to gain some momentum. We sort of know from the screenshot that it is definitely FMDB. We know that they will give basic levels of data on a screenshot. We don't obviously know exactly what it's saying at the moment in time because it's still very much shrouded in mystery. But we know that that's relaunching, which everyone's going to have. They're taking away from the actual, development team of Football Manager. Well, Football Manager database was in place in the World Cup in 2018. And there wasn't many complaints there about, well, actually, they're taken away from FM18, FM19. But, they are looking to obviously monetize that database a little bit more, and it's branching out into different things. Now, from a level of transparency, nothing's actually come out from Sega about Sega Football Club Champions or Sports Interact anywhere in social media. So when we've been talking about transparency, and they have been looking to create more marketing and people to they want, but for example, they want to bring back in a dev update. It was showing that they want to do the new podcasting, for example. They have rebranded. They are looking to obviously feature more in women's football and stuff like that. But Sports Interactive itself have basically gone radio silent. And I know there's a lot of videos, and I'm not going to go into too much of this. But they claimed they wanted more transparency, and there is a lack of transparency. We all know it's happening. In a social media blackout, I would argue there is nothing there on Instagram, nothing on TikTok, nothing on X. And I think that's their policy. I think after the backlash they had about cancelling FM25 or delaying FM25 to March, they've just gone, you know what, as a company, we don't want you engaging on Twitter until we've, or TikTok, or because they knew as soon as that type of information was coming out, people would be kicking off, and they don't want their employees subjected to that. And I think that's fair. Are Sega and Sports Interactive splitting up? I've heard this a few times and I've been asked this. Honestly, no. I can't see any evidence that Sega and Sports Interactive are going to separate. It doesn't mean they won't. It just means there's no evidence. Now, Amplitude Studios, for example, bought themselves out as a management buyout and got out of the deal they had with Sega, and they became their own studio again. Now, that obviously is still on the cards for Sports Interactive. Now, this is a key point here. If that's the situation, that's not going to be leaked out. That's going to be, right, let's see where we're at the end of the financial year, and are they going to, cut ties? I don't see that. Sega are obviously bringing in Football Club Champions. They got Football Manager database. Sega aren't going to be wanting to let Football Manager go, at this, the Football Manager brand go. And I don't think that Sports Interactive seem to be in that position where they are also getting really supported by Sega. So I can't see that being an issue. There's obviously going to be tensions. I mean, the game didn't come out, but it doesn't necessarily mean that means they're definitely going to split, which a lot of people have asked, and I've not seen one shroud piece of evidence to suggest anywhere other than Sega's commitment to Football Manager for growth in Western Europe. There's no signs. Let's get quickly on to the Sega shareholders. I also want to cover other bits on this. So Sega shareholders, I've done countless videos on Sega shareholders, but I'm going to give you this little snippet now. Every single year, I'm going to apply shareholder theory, and you can bookmark this down while we're in a couple of minutes in already. Sega shareholders have quarterly reports, and obviously we did this in a video, and I pointed out that the non-news cycle from Football Manager is probably going to end on the next quarterly shareholder meeting, and lo and behold, when that took place, 2 o'clock in the morning in GMT time, boom, Football Manager got cancelled. I was right. I was really surprised. I was that accurate that I said that worst case scenario, it'll be 2 o'clock in the morning on GMT time, and bang, it happened. Well, here's a snippet, and I don't say this is guaranteed. However, in the last 2 years, the annual general meeting for Sega is due to take place in 2 weeks' time as I'm recording this, around the 24th of June 25. Now, there was one in June 24 and there was one in June 23. Now, it's not always been the case. However, for the last 2 editions, FM24's announcements and FM25's dev announcements, that came within 2 to 3 days of the AGM. Now, we usually have had, like, for example, the Premier League license, for example, came out 10th of June 24. So that was before the AGM. In fact, I feel like, and this is my opinion based on shareholder theory, I'd love to see if I'm correct. Come back in 2 weeks and tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. I think we'll be getting a dev update a couple of days after Sega do their AGM. So the 24th is a Tuesday. Whether or not we get on a Tuesday, I don't know. It's probably likely to be, I feel like the dev updates are always on a Wednesday, so that's the 25th. Maybe Thursday or Friday, because they used to leave it to the end of the week, didn't they, on some of them as well. Maybe the 27th of June at the latest. Worst case scenario, we've still got Monday, the 30th of June. But I honestly believe the last week of June, we will get a dev update on where we sit with FM26. We also know that Football Manager has a quality assurance team, and they are the people that obviously check out for all the bugs, and these type of people are employed for a period of time for the testing cycle. And usually around June every year, if you're not aware of this, they advertise for new members of staff to join the QA team. Now, interestingly, in comparison to previous years, where they usually are based in London, these jobs are being advertised by Sega Development Studios, and they are actually advertising them in Bulgaria. Now, I saw this a couple of weeks ago and put it on Twitter, and a lot of people jumped going, oh, it's great. But the main thing is that I took from this was that they were actually advertising to start the process business as usual. It's the key problem was for anyone that wants to join this year, it seems to be that you got to have a visa for actually working in Bulgaria, which is obviously something which, because of Brexit, we're not in the EU anymore. So that could be a little bit tricky. But the key point of this job was advertising the fact that it was on a temporary basis in June to work until March 26. Now, a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that the game may not be finished till March 26. That's not the case. What this means is, think about it this way. You start the game out in September, October, November time, and then they do the update come January, February for obviously all the transfer windows. Well, somebody still has to check any updates you're putting in between the October to February time. You still need people to test whether or not the bugs that were being picked up on the development when you released the game in November addressed. Are the issues being fixed come January time, February time? There's still, and there's always going to be bugs. I mean, there was the transfer hack bug where you could buy anyone under a certain set of conditions for £2 million, for example. And nobody picked that up until it became a viral hack on Football Manager, and they fixed it quite quickly, to be honest with you. Supposedly, they had this in place, obviously, for FM25, and there were still bugs going on, and obviously we know that was then cancelled. But a temporary basis for March 26 would just lie within the normal financial year. They've looked at lead creative artists, they've looked at AI, they've looked at marketing assistants. There's a load of other jobs they've been advertising. But there have been 5, 6, 7 posts created in the last year, all with obviously trying to get licensing, marketing, social media. They've advertised for marketing on that. They've advertised for graphics engineers, web stacks. There's lots of jobs Football Manager has still been actively recruiting to try and get people in position as part of the regular. It's not a dead studio. It's not a dead game. A lot of people are saying this. It is actually still, people coming in and trying to fix things. Whether or not that will take place fully, who knows? But that's it on hiring. Next thing. So that's it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this information. Like and subscribe to the channel if you'd like. And why not check out the first video, which was about the match engine, which should be here, whichever way I'm going to put it. I'm going to go guess. Until next time, take care. See you later. Bye-bye.